And welcome to the Doug Karns program here on All Noise Radio. 267-495-4866 is my voicemail line, or you can shoot me an email at dougkarnsprogram@gmail.com. All right, we're back for an all-new show this week here on All Noise Radio. We got a lot to talk about today. I was in New York this past weekend, and no, it was not to demonstrate or protest with the Occupy Wall Street people, the sane, nonviolent people that they are, who, by the way, just got 700 of them got arrested on the Brooklyn Bridge this past weekend. But I was in town in New York for the weekend with my girlfriend, Maureen. We went to go see a Broadway show, which, honestly, I never thought in my life I would go enjoy a Broadway show. But we went to see Anything Goes, and it was fantastic. I mean, before my girlfriend, Maureen, I'm pretty sure just the phrase Broadway show, it would just make the blood shoot out of my eyes. I'm like, I don't want to see that. I'd rather go see a movie with action, explosions, CG effects and everything. Who wants to go see a stage that doesn't move barely? But honestly, I was totally wrong. I mean, the production on Broadway is just fantastic. It's expensive as hell for obvious reasons between unions and the great stage sets that they have to set up, but it's fantastic. I totally recommend Anything Goes because it's such a good show. It's basically almost like a comedy during the entire show. There's some tap dancing, really good music. It's basically just about a couple stories about it's a love story. A guy who works on Wall Street. He falls in love with a girl that's engaged to an Englishman, and he stows away on the ship and gets into these crazy antics just to try to get her attention and have her fall in love with him again. So, again, I recommend Anything Goes. It's a fantastic show. I was definitely impressed by it. I was not impressed by the price of it, but it was definitely worth it, and I recommend going and see it. So, I also got to see Central Park for the first time, which I know to some of you might seem crazy because Central Park is such a staple when you go to New York. But it's a really cool place. I mean, you don't even feel like you're in New York City. You feel like you're in this wilderness. You don't hear any city sounds. You're in the middle of trees and plants and foliage and everything, and it's fantastic. It's such a nice break from the street pedaling that you have to get used to walking by every 5 seconds in Times Square. I mean, every single second there's somebody trying to offer me something. Like, relax. If I wanted it, I would have came to you for it. I don't need you to come push it in my face and keep asking me every 5 minutes. But I can also see how people can go broke in that city. I mean, everything is expensive, from the cab rides to the rickshaw rides, which it began to rain. We walked to dinner at Del Frisco's, that's right by Radio City Music Hall, and we walked there because it wasn't raining or anything. But when we came out, it was raining, so we had some time to kill before the show. So we didn't want to stand outside, get wet, or walk anywhere. So we were like, oh, let's just go back to the hotel for a little bit. So we're trying to hail a cab. Nobody's pulling over because it's raining. Everybody's in a cab at this point. And all of a sudden, this guy just comes up with a bike and a rickshaw and offers us a ride. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, it'll keep us dry because it's like you're in this plastic that he zips down, so there's no rain that can get inside the rickshaw. And then he just bikes you through the city. Well, we only had about 4 blocks to go. It was such a quick ride. I mean, he doesn't even have to follow traffic signals or anything. So I'm thinking, it's a quick ride. We get there in about 5 minutes. I'm thinking I'll throw this guy like $8, $10 or whatever. So I get out. He pulls us right underneath the awning, which is great, fantastic. We don't get wet. And I go, how much? He's like, $25. I'm like, $25 for a 5-block ride? Like, you saw us coming, man. I mean, I was thinking $8. I mean, for 5 minutes, $8 is pretty good. I mean, you times that out by what? 5 is 60. It's 12. 12 times 8. That's $80 an hour right there if you get 8 or 12 rides. So, come on, $24 for a rickshaw ride that honestly, it was pretty bumpy. It wasn't as nice as a cab ride. I enjoyed it, but yeah, I mean, between that and then, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this before, but a private cab, who's not really like city owned or anything, he picked us up in a 2010 Escalade and drove us to our hotel after the show, and then he goes, "So how much you got for me?" I'm thinking, well, it was a 4-block ride again, so I was like, how about $10? And he's like, no, 20. I'm like, all right, how about 12? He goes, no, 15. I'm like, what is this? He had no meter in there, so there was nothing to base my payoff or my money off. So it was basically him haggling me to give him $15 for a 5-minute ride. Maybe I'm just a sucker, but that's ridiculous. And all the other cab rides were expensive as well. So I can see how people can go broke in New York City. It's so easy. I mean, if you think the economy's bad, go to New York City, because I guarantee nobody can afford to be there for more than one day. So, but anyways, I had a good time in New York. And, I mean, I really wanted to stop by Wall Street and interview some of these crazy kids, college kids, these, big men on campus staying at occupying Wall Street. But Maureen, advised that it's probably not good if I get beat up on our nice, weekend trip to New York. So what are these? You're asking yourself, what are these protests on Wall Street? It's very simple. It's civil unrest, and it's manufactured right now. But I guarantee you give it a good month or two, and it's going to grow into a life of its own. It's what we're seeing in Greece right now with the crazy riots, with cars on fire, buildings on fire. It's going to grow that big. So who is really stoking this fire? It's Van Jones. And if you don't know who Van Jones is, well, should we ask Joe Biden real quick who Van Jones is? Hold on, let me read this from the Blaze. In 2009, President Obama appointed Van Jones as the Green Jobs Czar. Jones' official title was Special Advisor for Green Jobs Enterprise Innovation at the White House Council of Environmental Quality. That's a long title. Sounds pretty important, doesn't it? And even though Jones eventually resigned, you would think that the Vice President of the United States would know who he is, right? Wrong. According to new audio, Joe Biden is claiming he does not know who Van Jones is. Seriously? The vice president made the strange claim on a Florida radio station this morning, well, Tuesday morning. So he basically says, I really don't know about the Van Jones group except what I read in the press. But if you look on the White House website, you see that they actually cross paths a couple times, and one specific time is here listed on the White House website. Says, "Hey, Task Force fans, we're just back from Denver where we hosted our 4th meeting. It was on the green economy and the opportunities therein for middle-class folks. Vice President Biden was joined by all kinds of interesting partners from our world, including Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Sean Donovan, Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack," and then it goes on to say, "and Special Advisor for Green Jobs, Enterprise, and Innovation at the White House Council on Environmental Quality, Van Jones." So these guys cross paths a couple times, but he says he doesn't know who he is. Which, Joe Biden, it actually could be true, because he probably, with all the gaffes he's made, he probably doesn't even remember who Van Jones is. So let's get down to what these protests really are. Let's start a clip here from Fox Business Channel with Ann Coulter, who everybody knows I'm not a fan of Ann Coulter, but she's kind of right on this. So let's play this clip right here.
Welcome back to Follow the Money. Hundreds of those lefty Wall Street protesters were rounded up and arrested this weekend. What exactly do they want? Fox News' Jesse Waters tried to find out. Take a listen to this.
Before we continue, but how many Tea Partiers do you remember getting arrested? I mean, I guarantee you can't even count on your hand how many times Tea Partiers got arrested. I haven't heard anything in the news. But these guys, 700 arrests. This sounds pretty disruptive, don't you think? So next time you hear the media compare the Tea Partiers to this Occupy Wall Street group, think about that, because it basically is a bunch of old people with lawn chairs who just want a smaller government, not this crazy socialism / communism / anarchy, which makes no sense, which we'll talk about in a second after I play this clip here.
What do you guys want?
Bring attention to the pervasive influence that corporations have in the political process.
We're trying to accomplish the demolition of capitalism.
Oh, the demolition of capitalism, Well, that sounds nice. I mean, it's only the system we've had in this country for the past 200 years that brought us technology like the light bulb, the toilet, indoor plumbing, iPhone, TV, radio, tons of technology that capitalism brought us. Name one thing communism or socialism has brought us.
I want to replace capitalism with a more just economic model.
What do you want to replace capitalism with?
Oh, you got to hear this here because he really wants to say what's on his mind about what he wants to replace capitalism with. But his buddies, keep telling him, don't say it, bro. Don't say it. Don't say it. Because he knows the average American person does not like hearing that and does not agree with that point of view.
Don't say it, bro.
The rich were willing to share. We could all live in prosperity.
I think the corporations have to revise the whole system of being so bound to their profits.
How does taxing the rich create jobs?
It gives us money to spend on products that could be made here.
If a CEO came down...
Oh, it gives you more money to spend on products down here. Well, if you take the money from the rich that provide the jobs, you have no more jobs, which means things aren't being created, which means you can't buy anything. This is the reason why communism and redistribution of wealth does not work. Because if you take money from somebody else and distribute, you're taking less. You're killing the economy because there's not going to be enough jobs left. There's not going to be products being made because rich people do create products and they employ people. So all you're doing is just enslaving everybody to becoming the same salary and having no jobs besides government jobs in this country.
Here right now and offered you a job, would you take it?
No way.
Joining me now is Ann Coulter. She's the author of Demonic and is here to make sense of all this. And let me reiterate a couple of corporate personhood, demolition of capitalism. If we learn to share, we can all live in prosperity. What do you make of all this, Ann?
All of those quotes could have been said in 1789 France before the French Revolution or the Russian Revolution or with only...
All right, we got to stop here before we come up against a break. But we're going to have to play a clip from Roseanne Barr from earlier this week where she says she wants rich people to be beheaded. Like, literally, she wants the time of the guillotine to come back. Now, is that what you agree with? Is that what you think? Because she's lining up with these Wall Street protesters. And that's exactly what they think, too. And they're useful idiots because they do not understand who they're lining up with. So when we come back, we'll finish this Ann Coulter clip and we'll start talking about this Wall Street protest and what it means to you. All right, we'll be right back after this.